Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. You know, in a lot of ways, I felt like this episode was a detour. Felt like this episode, in some ways, was a detour. Because certain things was just there with no rhyme or reason, right? Like the scene with Liz and Finn. What was that scene even for? He's not there playing backgammon against himself. Liz magically knows how to play backgammon. She's not there talking about her insecurities as far as, she's going to be a good head nurse. And, like, we already had this conversation before. You already had this conversation before, so why are we even bringing this up again for? It's it just seemed like it was just there to be there. Like, there's a lot of stuff in this episode that just seems like it's just straight up filler. Like, if you saw the previews, it felt as though there was another episode that was planned, but certain scenes just got scrapped. And I don't know if it's because of maybe the actress that played Bobby, her passing and everything like that, but something just felt entirely off. Um, even the coffee scene with Diane and Alexis. The only thing that's kind of interesting about that is Alexis talks about how she missed being a lawyer. I don't know if she's actually going to go back to being a lawyer, but she missed being a lawyer. Um, Diane Smith did talking about Robert and Holly leaving, and his life is a lot less complicated. And then there was that whole scene with the SEC, and she wanted to get information, and now she's all like, she doesn't even know if they're really compatible. But I sat there and I look, given that aside with, how Robert felt about that particular scene, that particular part, Diane should not be anyone's consolation prize. Okay? And that's what it seems, that's what it's coming across as. Holly leaves town, so, well, I guess Diane wins by default. No, Diane should win because she is a smart, beautiful, sexy, um, woman with a lot of curves. Okay, that's why she sit there and I'm not gonna sit there and say when this whole thing because it's like I don't really feel like Robert's that much of a prize to be honest, but it's just like all right, so now she's won by default. Awesome. Um, they talk about Esme for a little bit. They also talk about Gregory being part of the her newspaper because you know how much people actually care about Gregory. You got Sasha talking to Willow about Nina and how she really helped her out with the recommendation letter. One second. The recommendation letter and just how she snipped there praising her. And, basically snipped there telling Willow to give her a second chance. And at first Willow's like, some things just can't be forgiven. But then, hearing a letter and everything like that, she's thinking, that maybe she's been too harsh on her. Now, don't get me wrong. Nina has treated her like trash since day one, right? And I feel like that's something that shouldn't just go unchecked. But when you start to sit there and basically sit there and say that Harmony is, a better mother, you're glad that you grew up with Harmony as opposed to Nina, that's where you just kind of go too far. Because as much as I don't like Nina, yeah, bro, you just straight up out of pocket at that point. We all know what happened at that call with Shiloh and everything, so yeah. Um, you got that going on. Now you got Tracy, Olivia, and Brooklyn waiting for Nat to wake up, and TJ's there. Long story short, he does wake up, and the rumors are true. He thinks he's Eddie Main. Don't know who that Eddie Main character was, so I guess this would be a nice little callback for the people that watched the show before and know who he was. Me personally, I'm kind of just like, okay, I'll go along for the ride. I'm not super excited about it, but if the character proves out to be interesting, I may rock with it. So time will tell. Um, Michael and Chase scene again just seemed like it was just like thrown in there. You know, them Cynthia talking about or asking Chase if he wants to sit there and be a dad, talking about Tracy in Brooklyn, Nina, Willow and everything like that. Just really catching up. Just really pointless, pointless scene. That just doesn't really go anywhere. I mean, it's cool that they're actually cool again. I'll sit there and give it that much of a point because I remember when Michael was just being a dick to him, which I wasn't a fan of. And, you know, they had their issues. So, I mean, that's cool that they're friends again. Because let's be honest, it's not like Michael really actually have any friends, and Duke and probably use some friends at this point. Um, Now again, you got a scene with Sam and Cody, and I'm just like, boy, you gonna sit there and help them out or not? You know, she comes over there, she's all like, okay, what do you want? You know, I'm kind of in the middle of something. Can we just sit there and skip to the part where you ask me what I want? And it's kind of just like, you know, if you're in that much of a rush, you can just do this another time. Like, he's not there trying to speed this dude up. Now, of course, you can't sit there and say why he thinks that Gladys is guilty or anything like that. And she's all like, "Oh, I thought you had a plan. You don't have a plan. I'm not here to make the plan." It's some of it just kind of just like, Sam, are you on board with actually believing this guy or not? Because you just seem like you're just being extra difficult today, and it just seems like we're only doing this to run down the clock. So yeah, in all reality, I can't even sit there and remember where it actually goes. It doesn't seem like it really even goes anywhere. Except for Cody does sit there and say that Scotty's handling another case, and from what people have told me on Twitter, as far as Ken something, I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce his name, but he was basically Smith there saying that he was written out. If that's true, that's just pretty stupid because he's supposed to be helping Cody with the whole um, Ice Princess necklace or whatever, and he was kind of like that goat that guy was really helping him out. So why would he just sit there and write him off? Are you just gonna just abandon that storyline? Like I don't really understand where that's supposed to go. Like why even bother to start it if you're not even gonna sit there and do anything with it? This seems kind of like a waste at this point. That's about it. I can't really think of anything else that wound up happening. Telling by my facial expression, you can already sit there and know what I think of this episode. I look forward to Monday's episode. Like I said, I think the thing about this episode that just seems so disappointing is that it just seemed out of pocket. Like there was something else that was planned, and they couldn't do it for any number of reasons, and they just did this. Um, So yeah, with that being said, I'm going to go. I want to thank you for watching. Stay safe, and I will see you in the next video. Now, if I did forget anything, you know what to do. Come to the live stream. We'll sit there and chop it up. We'll talk about all of them.